Good morning, wonderful people. Welcome to my channel. We continue the series of narcissist empath dynamic, and now we come to the Mars-ruled Nakshatra of Chitra. Now, Mars-ruled nakshatras have a funny attribute. They always go from Earth to air signs, right? Mercury going from Taurus to Gemini, Chitra going from Virgo to Libra, and Dhanishta going from Capricorn to Aquarius. But there's a theme of a big ego in these nakshatras because they are Mars ruled, highly egotistical. They have to be very watchful if they have come with this axis of 1-7 and Rahu or Ketu in Chitra. So ego will be a dominant theme in all Mars ruled nakshatras. Just bear that in mind. So we have transition. 2 padas in Earth sign and 2 padas in air sign. Doesn't matter if it is Taurus to Gemini and Libra to Virgo to Libra, or going from Capricorn to Aquarius. It's basically first split in half. So first 2 padas in Earth sign and next 2 padas in air sign. And it's all about ego. It's all about ambition. In Chitra, we have to see the Chitra type of energies that we can encounter. So Narcissist 1 will be Rahu in Chitra, Ketu in Revati. And this is a funny disposition because Revati is a Devgana, Chitra is a Rakshasagana. So a tug of war of ego is very strong. Because in Libra, it becomes Chitra to Ashwini. Again, Ashwini is a Devgana. Chitra is Rakshasagana. And if you want to take the empath part of it, the reverse, Ketu in Chitra, Rahu in Revati, and the other way around, Ketu in Chitra and Rahu in Ashwini. These are the 4 combinations we will be dealing with. Mercury as an narcissist, we have already dealt with. Yes, we have dealt with this guy in the previous one. If not, look it up. Intellectual narcissism. So we will deal more with how it plays out within Chitra Nakshatra now. Okay? So let us go directly to Chitra Nakshatra and see what happens there. So we are talking about intellectual narcissism, manipulative communication to control and divert conversations. Need for recognition is very strong if Rahu is in Chitra in the first house. And Chitra wants fame. This ego is more amplified. Desire for refinement and aesthetics, because Chitra is very creative. Strong desire for aesthetics and beauty in life. Then there is a sense of ambition and creativity. Once again, highly ambitious. All Mars ruled nakshatras. They want power, they want influence, they want people to look at them, look at me. This narcissist is very strong. A quest for recognition, once again, ego. They may seek self-acknowledgement and applause for their creative talents and achievements. We are talking about first house, folks. Remember that. Rahu in Chitra in the first house only. Attention to details. These individuals often have a keen eye for detail and are meticulous in their work. They may excel in precision-oriented professions, materialistic pursuits. Finally, what is ego? Ego is all about going towards achievement of some kind so that the ego boost is there. Yeah. This is what essentially any egoistic person will do. Anyway, let's get to the other part. Let's say if you're talking about Venus as an narcissist, which is narc number 2, this guy. We go into Libra now. What happens in Libra with Venus as the narcissist? So it results in aesthetic narcissism. Venus represents beauty and aesthetics. When in conjunction or aspect to Rahu in the first, it can contribute to a form of aesthetic narcissism. Excessive importance on their own physical appearance. First house is your own physical appearance. Always looking in the mirror. Charm and charisma. They may possess charm and charisma that draws others towards themselves. Well, it's Venus, isn't it? We are talking about the dispositor Venus. Materialistic narcissism. Again, being in the egoistic, everything will be done to fulfill their ego, all their possessions, show off their luxury and indulgence. Always being on Instagram, for example. Emotional manipulation. Individuals with this combination may use their charm and attractiveness to manipulate others emotionally. That could be one of the themes. That's narcissist number one. Venus as a narcissist. Mercury was intellectual. Venus is more towards aesthetic related narcissism. Everything that's related to a sense of beauty, a sense of appearance, whatever they have in acquisitions, for example. Okay? That was going towards narcissism for Chitra Nakshatra. So just be careful when you evaluate the padas of Chitra, whether it's Mercury kind of narcissism or Venus kind of narcissism. Be sure of that, which two padas. And the life lesson being sensual brilliance needs truth, which is as it is, and with accuracy to shine. Chitra is a bright jewel, the Spica constellation. So it needs to shine. But the life lesson is to let go of that egotistical bend and just see truth for what it is. It's the life lesson of Chitra. Now let's see Empath. How Empath plays out at the opposite end, because it switches between two Devganas. That'll be interesting. The Empath part is interesting. And since these times are about being ruled more by empaths, this will become more critical going forward. So when we are speaking of empath number one, it's Ketu in Chitra, which is we are still in the Virgo and Pisces axis, right? Because it is Chitra, it is split in half. Therefore, empath number two will be something like going into Libra, Ketu in Chitra and Rahu in Ashwini. So you can see right off, while Ketu still remains in Chitra, in Virgo, it has Mercury kind of empathy. But once that switches to Libra, it becomes Venus kind of empathy. So what is the difference here? You might say, the difference here is intellectual empathy is different from Venus kind of empathy. Aesthetic empathy is different from intellectual empathy. Mercury is an intellect. It is interested in understanding the other seventh house individuals from an intellectual perspective. These are good for coaches, business coaches, leadership coaches, executive coaches, all that kind of personalities we are talking of. Because empathy means you can connect at that level. You come in with that knowledge. So in Chitra, as empathy, what can we hope to expect? Right? Let's see that for a minute. So Ketu in Chitra signifies that energy which you are bringing from past life, which has sensual brilliance. You can bring that to the other, to Ashwini, for example, on the other side. Because Chitra, in the first empath, in this first one, goes towards Revati, So let's see the Revati factor. Appreciation for aesthetics. In Chitra, it can be, yes. Seekers of balance and harmony, because it's a balancing nakshatra going from one sign to another, earth to air. Interest in healing arts. Ketu in Chitra can bestow an interest in healing and therapeutic arts. which promote physical and emotional well-being. They have a strong desire for inner transformation. Ketu always does in the first house. Let's see on the other side what it's doing. In Revati, Mercury in relation to Revati, because we are talking about Empath One. So it's gone to Revati, Rahu on the other side. So Rahu on the other side, we'll close this. Rahu on the other side makes them very dreamy and imaginative. They try to seek for spiritual partners because 7th house, right? In Chitra, Ketu, it's detached from the sense of ego. Now it wants to find spiritual kind of partnerships. They have a lot of compassion and empathy towards others, towards their partner. May be drawn towards humanitarian causes, may excel in roles that require them to help those in need. Sensitivity to arts. That would be a strong one, I would think. Since Chitra is a creative nakshatra and Revati on the other side where Rahu is placed, is looking to find nurturing and true companions. This is why I say this combination could strongly lead to seeking, I want my twin flame, I want my spiritual partnership. Very strongly. 1/7 axis. Sensitivity to arts. They might be these new agey type painters, for example, highly evolved in their artistic expression. Ketu in the first house, in the house of aesthetics. But we are still empath number 1, right? So it can take on more intellectual pursuits. Desire for completion. Since Revati is the last nakshatra, this will become a dominant theme. Now let's see the other one. What happens when it switches towards Libra? Empath number 2. Now for empath number 2, Ketu is in Chitra and now we have moved to Ashwini right across the entire zodiac. So it has come exactly in the center. So when this happens, Chitra Ketu, we already saw what it does. But let's see the other side because it is now very interested in others, in spouses, in relationships. Rahu in 7th house will lead to a lot of relationships, folks. Empaths are horny as hell, one secret which is less told. Anyway, let's get to Ashwini then. In Ashwini, Rahu in Ashwini makes them very energetic and ambitious. These individuals possess strong desire for success. Ashwini is the initiator, ruled by Mars, wherever Mars is placed. But we are talking about Rahu in the 7th house. So these people might have a little streak of trying to pioneer everything that they touch. If I see a field, I want to conquer this. I have a lot of impulsiveness. Rahu, as it is very impulsive. It amplifies the impulsive nature of Ashwini. So it might be finding themselves a challenge to control themselves. I have a sort of grounding, if you wish. If you're constantly having a Rahu kind of energies placed in Ashwini in the 7th, well, take the significations. They're moving around from one person to another, one relationship to another, one bed to another, always wanting popularity. I started this, I started that, I'm the first one. Although being an empath at the same time, so it's kind of confusing to people who watch them. A lot of restlessness. Rahu as it is restless, now it is sitting in Ashwini. Constant need for change. This can be a challenge for empaths number 2, right? So try to balance the energy between the Ketu aspect and the Rahu aspect. These are good independent thinkers, but they would need some sort of a good grounding. Grounding seems to be a theme over here. Over detachment on Chitra side, depending upon whether it is Mercury as a empath, intellectual empathy, or if you're talking about Venus as the empath, depending on the situation. Okay? I'll leave you with this much to think about. We will catch up on the next. Take care, be safe.